Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to City Skylines Natural Disasters and Tornado Country. I hope you're having a wonderful day because the people of Pepper Lake are certainly having a good time. All 203,640 of them. Oh yeah, we passed 200,000 people. We have 57,000 people to go. And then we've done this challenge. We've done the scenario. I can show it to, I don't know why I clicked that button. I can show it to you. We are close. We are so close to getting this done. I wish this number kept on counting here, kind of the way, I mean, this one keeps on counting because that's sort of counting the other way. Like this is a lose condition, but I wish I could see how many full lifespans have actually lived in this city throughout the, however long. I mean, when did I start this series? Because whatever date it was when I recorded the first episode is what date this game will have started on. Either way, it's now 2050. So, yeah, we've been at this city for a few years in-game. But yeah, I'm kind of pleased. I'm kind of pleased with what we've got to. We have some demand down here for a little bit of residential, medium for commercial and industry. And I think today, what we can do is maybe look into expanding down this way a little bit, since we haven't really done that just yet. I have already gone ahead and flattened out some of the land a little bit, as you can see. And I'm thinking that we're just gonna sort of bring these straight roads through again and make effectively just a few blocks here and there for hopefully residential zoning. I don't necessarily think I want to go for a whole bunch more offices over here since we have this at the moment. So maybe a mix of residential and commercial. I don't know. We'll certainly see. So let's get on with this and see what we can do. We're going to begin with an avenue, as we usually do. Bring that avenue up to about there. That is 50 units, and we'll do the same down here as well. Go about 50 units, which I think that is, that's 60. That's 50, so those should connect together no problem, which they do. And obviously that's not going to be the size of one block. I mean, it could be. I'm pretty sure that is, yeah, it's a little bit bigger than this area over here, but that's not going to be the size of one block. We'll probably divide that into the road, something like that. So this will be two separate districts. Then what we'll do is come over this way a little bit, and I think I will just bring this road off of here and connect it over like that. And then maybe we'll bring a road out of here a little bit. We'll go about 11. We'll bring this along as far as we can to about there. And connect it all up, which that almost connected up perfectly. Let's just extend you a little bit further, and there we go. So that all connects around quite nicely. Do I have an all-time policy on this industrial zone? No, I do not. I'm gonna need one, that's for sure. Because I don't want traffic maybe using, you know, this road to go through to this space here. That's something we want to avoid, so we'll totally get ourselves an all-time policy on that in just a little bit. But this is looking like a pretty substantial expansion. I might actually try and expand right up to the edge of the river there, kind of like what I've done over here. And I might try and do similar over on this side as well quite soon. I don't know if I'll do it immediately, but I do like the idea of doing that. So let's actually begin with that idea by bringing a road off of here. I'm actually just going to bring an avenue off of here because it'll fill up the zoning a bit better. So bring the avenue right up to about, we could go to about there actually. We can get a little bit of zoning in that space. And then for the rest of it, I mean, really, I should bring an avenue off of there to about that point. And that can sort of be the backbone of this entire space in here. But we'll get to that in a bit. I want to begin with the basic stuff. So we'll just go ahead and get some roads going straight through here. And I am actually just going to bring some roads straight through to begin with. Now that one needs to be moved over a little bit. So to about there. Yeah, I just want to bring these roads straight through so we can get as much zoning in here as is humanly possible. So we'll do... Oh, that one's overlapping a little bit. Well, that's certainly not ideal. Let's do it that way. Delete that one. And probably delete this one as well. And then we'll just get these to line up with the one to this side. So there's going to be some overlap in the middle of this district, but that's no big deal. We can make it work. Get a pathway in there or something. But that's basically the way I'm thinking this could sort of work. And then what I want to do is, let's go like from roughly there. We'll go like that and do a road. We'll not bother doing one down here, but we'll sort of just connect through every now and then with a road like that, so that you can totally drive through that space. It's just not the most convenient thing to do. And maybe I'll just sort of connect up like that, and connect up like that, and do that as well. So yeah, there's roads connecting through all that space. It's not the most convenient space to drive through, but that's not really the point. The point isn't that you'd be driving through here anyway. It's that you would be living in there, and you would be commuting out of that area to go to wherever you wanted to go, rather than, you know, going through that area to get to where you... Oh, that's at an angle, isn't it? I think at this point, you get the idea. If you've been following this series, you know exactly what I'm doing. I'm going to put an old-time policy on this, so we aren't really going to have to worry too much about traffic. Now, something I might want to do, actually, is connect through like this, which might seem a bit weird, but it lines up really nicely with those other roads, and it gives me a fairly even way to break up this this whole space. And I mean, I think that looks obviously like a giant grid, but I think it looks kind of interesting. We haven't really had a grid like this in the city yet, so I'm curious to see how that turns out. I'm also really liking the idea of looking at this from quite high in the sky and just seeing all these lines of buildings here. I don't know. I like that idea. I think it could look kind of interesting. Now let's bring this across like so. We're going to bring some roads down from the industrial zone, but with the old town policy that's going to be on that zone, again, we're not going to have to worry too much about traffic coming down here. So we'll do that. We'll do that. We'll do that. And we'll do that. In fact, let's just bring them all down. Might as well just bring them all down like that. And, I mean, we could connect up some of these. Do that kind of thing and do that kind of thing. And, I like it. I really do. It is just a giant grid, but I reckon it'll work. I reckon it could do some good stuff for the city. Obviously going to need to get some pipes in here, so let's go ahead and do that. And with that done, the next step is going to be going ahead and getting some districts into this space. So that's going to be quite easy as well, since these are all just big squares with nothing cutting through them like highways or anything. So all we need to do is paint around here like so, and just fill in all of these spaces, and then just repeat the same process the whole way through. Again, I think you might, if you've been following the series, you might have an idea of what's going on. You might have an idea of how this all works, and I'm rushing it a little bit here, and I keep messing up the district painting. So there we go. Just cut that off, cut off all of that bit as well, and that as well. And then this little bit on the road here as well needs to be cut. So what that'll do is it will stop any traffic from going through that space, of course, once I get the old town policy. So yeah, that's going to stop any traffic going from this avenue here through this district to get into this space. It will have to stick to the avenues, and it'll also stop, once I get a district on this space, traffic going from this bit of avenue down to here. They will have to use the main roads and the avenues, as opposed to cutting through this residential or commercial or whatever space it's going to wind up being. Spoiler, probably residential. So the districts are done. We have Applegate Heights, Magnolia Park, Spring Hills, Hamilton Square, and Elm Heights. That said, I'm pretty sure we have a Hamilton Square somewhere. I know we had two Hamilton districts in the vanilla Let's Play. I feel like we have a Hamilton something in Pepper Lake. I'm just not certain. I might be wrong. I might be wrong. I'm probably wrong. And I'm probably just, you know, meshing all of my City Skylines Let's Plays together into one in my head. So maybe we don't have a Hamilton Square. So that's completely fine. Let's go ahead then and start doing some zoning, which I think is going to be quite important here. I'm just going to zone commercial the whole way along here. Just all the way up to there. And I'm also going to zone it completely in these spaces here, so they act as a buffer between industry and between the residential zoning that will go in there. Also going to add some new industry to that little space there, because we might as well, and maybe just bring a little road down like that as well. So yeah, that's going to act as a nice buffer. Obviously, this whole space in here can't be zoned perfectly, but it will do the job, and that will get people interested in moving around this space. Interestingly, some of these guys haven't apparently been informed of the Old Town policy. Thanks for that. It's like, oh, well, I know you've got the Old Town policy, but I like to think those are more like guidelines than actual rules. That's a reference to Pirates of the Caribbean. Is it the first Pirates of the Caribbean movie does the whole the pirate code is it's more like guidelines than actual rules. Is it the first? I think it is the first one, because it would make, yeah, because Barbossa is like the main. Is it the first one? I don't know. I might be wrong on that actually, but I'm fairly sure it's the first one. Either way, it doesn't really matter. I think that's something we can take away from this. It really doesn't matter. Let's go ahead and get a hospital into this space. So I'm going to throw a hospital there, which actually gives pretty good medical coverage for that whole area, but I do want to get a little medical clinic just up here so that we cover that corner as well. Obviously, we are going to need some crematoriums, so I'm going to try and get those sort of at every avenue corner. So sort of like that. And that's gotta be good coverage. That's got to be good coverage. I'll add one sort of in the middle in a few places as well, just so that if there's maybe trouble with the avenues or something, we can still get the the hearses out to the various locations. Policing or that's fire coverage. Fire coverage leaves a lot to be desired in this space. So let me throw a fire station just in there. Let me get a police station just behind it as well. And that should do some good things for that space. Obviously, we are going to have some issues with getting electricity down to all of this new space. But the population is still rising. 205,000 people is not bad at all. Unfortunately, it does seem like the demand is not as high as that's a beautiful building, by the way. That is actually really, really nice. I really like that. I like that it's got this like touch of, being an old building that they've renovated time and time again to make it mostly a new build. That's really nice. I've never noticed that building. I really like that building. Okay. But yeah, what I'm getting at is, I think what's happening here is the amount of demand shown by these bars. I mean, really, there's not much way of telling, what is medium demand, because there was medium demand for commercial zoning, and this is what we got. Like, that's a fair few buildings, but it's not as many as I thought it would be. Granted, I am zoning across an area that is pretty huge. Like, this is a relatively big space to be zoning across, so it probably makes sense. Now, speaking of zoning and speaking of districts, something we haven't done down here yet is go ahead and add in some metro lines. So that's something I think I will actually take a moment to do here. So let's begin with a stop there. And then we're just going to start bringing this down to pretty much wherever we can bring it down to. So we're going to just bring it and kind of make it fairly regular. So every couple of blocks we'll have a stop. This one can sort of go there. This one can sort of go there. We'll have this one sort of there, I guess. Have one just there, perhaps. I think I will put one just on the inside if I can get it there, because I think that would maybe make sense to have one in there. Then we'll get another one just sort of there. And hopefully I can connect all of these together, because there are some pretty steep slopes in there. So that's going to come over this way. You're going to connect to there. You're going to connect to there. That one connects over there. Can this connect? Yes, it can, and you can connect as well. Beautiful. So that is not what I wanted to do, actually. Oh, I got carried away with that, didn't I? Whoops. That's fine. That's fine. These things happen. Oh, that's a little awkward. That's a little awkward what I did there. Let's just put you into that spot then, and bring some of these up a little bit. So that's going to go like there. We'll bring this guy over and just chuck it in about there. This can come over and take over that building, and that can loop together. So that is the metro loop that I was wanting. And you'll notice I'm basically dividing it based on this avenue here. So that should be fine. Admittedly, there's a big open space in the middle where people can't get to, but if I eventually get around to setting up my buses correctly, that really shouldn't be a problem. In theory. And if I set up my buses very correctly, I should be able to make them just as efficient as my metro lines. And what I'm thinking for that is that if I put my buses with like their only... Right, let me restart that sentence because I'm coming up with this idea as I say it. So let's say that I have this area here. Now what I've done with this area already is I have added some buses that stop just outside these metro stations. And that's very important because those are going to be some very, very busy stops. The metro stations are very, very busy. We know that to be true. And the bus stops are quite busy as well. Now, what I can do in an area like this is say that we have a bus stop here, because I'm going to have a metro station just opposite that one. So if that's the only bus stop for the buses going around in here and the buses that will be going around in here, it means that the buses will become very, very useful for people that maybe want to get to the metro stations. And it also becomes useful for people that want to get from the metro stations into somewhere like this. Now, whether or not they'll use it, I don't know. I'm not really certain because, if I'm completely honest, I don't know what distance people are going to walk in city skylines before they decide, you know what, I'd rather take some form of public transport. I have no idea what that distance is. I'm pretty sure people have frequently commented with that on my videos. I never thought I'd ever need that information, so I never really absorbed it. So maybe I'll Google it, maybe I'll figure it out, I don't know. But I do know that there is a distance over which people would rather walk than take public transport because it's just easier. So we'll see what happens. I reckon I can get my buses to be quite efficient. I really do. I really, really do. So hopefully that actually happens, because having some efficient buses would be really nice. 23,500 people are using the metro. There's less than 1,000 using the buses. Admittedly, I haven't really touched the buses in a very long time. We don't have that many buses going through the city at the moment. So we'll see what we can do. I might just look up some references on Google, to be honest. I might go to Google and be like, okay, show me the bus lines for London or something. Because, I mean, London's kind of the go-to place when people think of, like, well, no, is it? It's not really the go-to place when you think of metro. I guess that's kind of New York and the subway. But, well, for me, I tend to think of London, personally, so whatever. Doesn't really matter. I'm rambling as I'm placing these loops. So let's go ahead and get this last one in here at least, and we can actually deal with a little bit of the residential demand that's creeping in there. So what I'll do for that is I'll come into that space there so we can maybe get some electricity through to these buildings, which would certainly be nice. And hopefully we can at least fill up Hamilton Square. Okay, we seem to be running out of demand for anything other than industrial zoning. So what I'm thinking I'm going to do is actually run a core of office zoning down through all of this space, because that little awkward bit in the middle, this little bit that's quite thin, is kind of perfect for that. So I think having that in there, I mean, it is just another big strip of offices, but it's going to be surrounded by residential zoning, which I think might be for the best. We'll see what happens. And what's more is this is going to get rid of that industrial zoning and might actually help bring more people to the city as well, because it's more jobs and, you know, it's dealing with that demand, which is in turn going to bring up the demand for other places. Now, obviously, there is still quite a bit of space left for commercial zoning. Well, actually, in saying that, there's not that much left. So we might see that, yeah, that demand is looking like it's slowly creeping in there. It doesn't look like we're having any issues with getting electricity to the offices in here either, which is quite nice. So this might actually turn into a really good buffer for this area. And by that, I mean just a divider rather than a buffer. Buffer is probably the wrong word. Buffer is a word I usually use when referring to something to separate industry and residential, which is usually commercial. Which, I mean, admittedly, you know, that area is pretty much full up, so we probably could look into getting some residential zoning into Magnolia Park there. And I'm also curious to see 23,761 people. Yeah, there are some people that are using these new metro lines, which is quite nice to see. Admittedly, there aren't really any good connections between areas here. Like, the distance between some of these stops isn't great for crossover here, so we might want to do something about that. To be honest, I mean, a simple solution could be something like this, which would be a train that goes from here to there and back. Just something that simple could work, and the same there. And I think I might give that a shot, to be honest. Because I have to imagine it's only going to be like one train. There's no way that line's going to attempt to add more than one train. So make that like yellow or something. And we'll see what happens. So yeah, that's got one vehicle. That might work. It might cause problems, and if it does, then sure, it can be removed. But I think what this might do is basically get rid of that whole need for people to walk from this station to, you know, a station up in that area. That might do some good stuff. Maybe. We'll certainly see. I mean, there's a couple of people in there waiting for it. There's not really, well, no, there's like one guy. There's one person that's keen there. That's fine. Oh wow, I just noticed the traffic under here. I just noticed how much traffic's trying to come out of this area. This road here isn't. Oh, what the hell? Oh. Oh. Hold up. What? What? Come again? Alright. Everybody, get into a bunker. This is gonna be a big one.